So we are going to have cat dissection notes that you're going to turn in at the end. So as we go along, every now and then I'm going to talk about for like 5 minutes about what we're doing that day. So today what we should be trying to do hopefully is get those cats. We're finishing the skinning of them, and we're going to start looking at muscles, which I will show you guys. I'll do a little tutorial um, at the lab table once we get somebody who's got their cat skinned, and I'll show you how we dissect the muscles. But what we really want to try to do is separate them wherever we can. Now, not so much up in the head and neck. And all these muscles, it'd be cool to see, and this is on Google Classroom. This packet is, if you want to look. It's cool to identify any muscles you can. And that's a point of dissection. It's not just what I'm telling you to look at, it's your own curiosity as well in asking questions. But one thing we should notice right away when we look up here, if I have my marker on, is we should notice this V that goes right to the chin like this. And this is going to be the digastric. Okay, so we want to know digastric. That's what I would quiz you on. And then up here just on the cheek, so above it, so between the digastric and the ear, really, we're going to see the masseter, the chewing muscle, if you remember that. Okay, so masseter and digastric. Now, it'd be cool to know these, but a lot of times with injections and things like that, the neck gets all torn up and they're really hard to see. Okay, so you guys have those muscles written down. Just get them identified. Okay, so where they're at, got it? We're writing this down in cat dissection notes, paper, cat dissection notes. Yeah, if you guys can write faster. All right, so then we're going to go to the chest, all right? And in the chest, now some tips for looking at muscles. One, if the cat is all wet and shiny, take some paper towel and get some of the extra moisture off, all right? Two, stretch these muscles out because it makes them easier to see. Three, especially with the latex gloves, if you're wearing those, rub over the muscle because this will actually, I hope so, this was recorded so far. Rub over the muscle because it'll also help it show up more. But what you're going to do when we dissect muscles, it's called blunt dissection. Because really the majority of the dissection of muscles is done with the blunt end of the probe, not the scalpel. Some of it's still done with the scalpel. But what you do is you try to look for landmarks. And there is a little bit of guesswork involved, I'm not going to lie. But what we will see is when we open up the chest, we go from the armpit here, you're going to see this V that comes down like this, okay? And the bottom portion is the first muscle we're going to identify, and it's called the xiphi humerales, okay? So what I would do is I would take the blunt end of the probe and kind of just trace around this muscle, and I might use the scalpel to just lightly start cutting along there, not deep, but really what I want to be able to do is stick the blunt end of the probe underneath it and run the probe back and forth along the length of the muscle. All right? So these are all like V's in the chest. We have the bottom one is this funny name, xiphi humeralis, between the humerus and the xiphoid process of the sternum. That's why it has that name. Then we have the pectoralis muscles. The first V, the lower V, is going to be pectoralis minor. Okay, so we should know pectoralis minor. Above that, we'll see another one coming across here, which is the pectoralis major. All right? And then this is another one, you really stretch out those arms, you're going to see a band of muscle that goes from the elbow up to the chest. Okay? And that's called the antebrachialis. Antebrachial meaning forearm. It actually goes into the forearm, inserts into the forearm. All right? So that's what we're going to try to do. Try to get those muscles done today. Skin and get those muscles done.